Okay, so for this video, we're going to talk about gain, low cut, and the equalizer. Okay, so those things are all located up here, and you remember these are going to be what the settings that these are reflecting are based on which channel is selected. Okay, so if you want to crank up the gain for channel 1, you can't just will that into being. You have to select channel 1, because if you just start cranking up the gain, it's going to crank up whatever's selected. So be mindful of that. But this is where you do it, same as wherever. On analog boards or whatever, they usually have a gain knob. Same thing, except for now it's got a little light, and this encoder can spin forever, but the light will stop at the end or at the beginning of the range. The way you want to make sure your gains are set up is that when you plug something in, you can keep the channel muted to do this. You plug something in, and you get a level for it. So if it's a vocal mic, you're having somebody talk or sing through it, and you're kind of trying to figure out the loudest point that they're going to sing. And you want to make sure that point never clips. If the clip light lights up, that's not good. Clipping is never good. So you're going to try to figure out the highest point in their range, and you're going to want to make sure that's hitting somewhere down here. Different people have different rules. A lot of people say 12 at 18, 9, if the highest is lighting up these lights here, 9 and 6, if it's the absolute highest, then that's okay. But really, you'd want it probably 9, 12, 18, somewhere in there, that it's staying, because that's going to give you the most headroom to be able to adjust your faders later. Okay, so make sure that's staying in a reasonable range. It's not ever clipping. The thing you want to avoid is plugging something in and then using dynamics and EQ and fader to get the sound that you want coming out of the mains to be loud enough before you do this. You want to do this first. Make sure your gain is set up right first, that you're not clipping and then you're not way too low, so you're not using all these other things to drive stuff or mask stuff. That's where you're going to get distortion. That's when you're going to get signals that aren't good quality, and you're going to get into all kinds of messes later. So make sure you got a clean gain first, then do all the other things. Also in this section, we got phantom power, 48 volts right here. So that's applicable to each individual channel based on the select, like we said. So some of them have it, some of them don't. On the last board, you had to turn phantom power on for a whole bank of channels, but now you can do it individually. This is the phase reverse or the polarity reverse. Ask me more about that if you want to know more about it. It's probably not going to be applicable to our situation, but basically the basic gist is if you've got two microphones that are really close together and picking up very similar signals, you're going to want that on for one of them. Not going to happen in our situation for the most part. Here's your low cut, just like we had on the other board. If you want it on, you've got to make sure this button is lit up. If not, you can spin this wheel all day, but it's not going to be doing anything until that low cut switch is engaged. Okay. A lot of these sections have these really nifty view buttons here, and what happens with that is if you click that button, it's gonna send you to a menu that's useful for it. So right there we can see the actual hertz level of our low cuts, and you can figure out where you want that, where you need it. In general, you're gonna want to low cut things that don't need low end fairly aggressively. So vocals, things like that, you want to make sure it doesn't distort the sound or make it sound thin, but you're going to take it up at least until you can hear the change and then back it off some. Because if you're not hearing frequencies that it's taking out, so let's say we turn it up to 100 and you haven't heard any difference, then all those frequencies, they probably exist in the spectrum, but you're not really hearing them. They're not adding much, but over time, with all these other channels, they're going to add up and create a low-end rumble or low-end distortion or kind of an intangible feeling of something that you might not want. So on things that don't need it, things that we're not focused on the bass end of, so things like keyboards you'd want it in a bass drum, kick drum, the bottom of a conga mic, bass guitar, those kinds of things, you want to be less aggressive with this. But on things that don't need it, you're going to cut up pretty high, up to 100, 120 even on some things. But that's your low cut. Over here, you've got your equalizer. So again, whatever channel's selected, that's where you're going to, that's what the EQ is going to be representing. You push this view button, you get a wonderful little visual here in the window of the EQ for that channel. When there's signal coming through, you're going to be seeing the signal behind it. You're going to be seeing it actually moving. So you're going to have a visual representation of what's going on with the sound, which frequencies are loudest and which frequencies are coming in when. It's really helpful and really useful, although really you should EQ first by your ears. Don't EQ to try to get that to look like anything, because that's all math and numbers, and this out here is the size of the room, the amount of people in the room, they're all going to change that. So don't just try to get this to look a certain way. You gotta hear it, and that's a skill and it takes a while to learn. But in the actual equalizer section, it's similarly set up to the analog board. You've got different ranges that you can adjust with these buttons. So you've got high. See, when you push the high button, it's going to select this band right here, and you can sweep it back and forth with the frequency knob. And you can, let's see, let me turn on some of this. You can move it up and down with the gain knob, and you can adjust the width up here with this Q knob. Okay, Q, adjust the width, so you can make it really fat and wide or really skinny and narrow to really zone in on a certain frequency. So if there's, feedback or something, you'd want to really narrow in. And I'll do another video. I know a lot of people always ask about this, but I'll do another video. And there's also probably a ton out there already that are really good. Just explain kind of how to EQ and what the sort of the art of it is and what you're trying to accomplish with EQ. But that'll be in a different video. Right now we're just talking about how to do it. So Q does that. Then there's this mode button here that allows you to change some of the aspects of the actual the EQ itself. So you can go back and forth between VEQ and PEQ. PEQ, I believe on this means parametric EQ, and the VEQ is vintage EQ, so it's set up a little bit differently. You're probably not going to be able to tell the difference, honestly, but it adjusts kind of the way the curves behave. So you can sort of see it, I think, a little bit. I think the VEQ, yeah, is a little bit kind of rougher maybe, and a little bit beefier. But if you like one over the other, then use that one. I think I've been using the VEQs just to kind of try to tell. But if either one works. Also over here on this mode button, you've got the high shelf and a high cut on when you've highlighted the high button. So the high shelf looks kind of like a shelf, like a plateau. You can turn it up and down, and it's just going to boost kind of everything above or everything, or reduce everything above wherever you've got your band. The high cut just drops it off. A really sharp margin. You can't adjust the gain. You can't go up or down, but you can sweep the frequency range to determine what you want to cut out. On the high mid and then low mid, if you select either one of these, you can only go back and forth between VEQ and PEQ. You can't do the cuts or shelves on those. But the low, you've got a low cut and a low shelf, as well as the VEQ and PEQ. And those are the same thing, just on the low end. So the low shelf can raise or lower. Low cut is going to just cut everything below the frequency that you've got selected. When you select the main bus, which is over here, your main send, if you select that one, you actually have a couple extra bands you can adjust. And to get to those, you push, you see this low 2 here? You push both of these at the same time, and that's going to give you a separate band that's in between. This is your low mid. Then you've also got this this low 2 right there that you can adjust. Okay, same thing with the high. You got an extra high. You push both of those at the same time, and you get that one. Okay. You can also control these parameters over here with these encoders. You just got to kind of look to see what they say they do. So this one over here on the far right, it chooses your mode. It chooses which band you're adjusting. and then you click, it clicks the EQ on and off. Okay, when you click it. This one adjusts your mode, so the VEQ, PEQ, low cut, low shelf. And you can see it adjusting right there, and then you can see it moving as well. This one's your cue here. And also if you click this one, it'll reset everything, put it back to flat. With this one, it just resets that band. This one allows you it's going to, when you click it, or when you turn it, it's going to adjust your gain up and down. They kind of move slower than those encoders over there. When you click it, this is going to change between the signals that you're seeing come in when there's a signal coming through here. It's going to, if it's RTA pre is selected, so right there, it's going to show you what that signal looks like before your EQ. If you click it down and now that's not highlighted, it's going to show what your signal looks like after. So for example, if you turn this frequency here way, way down, the RTA pre is going to show a normal signal. But if you have it unselected like this, it's going to show a dip right there because those frequencies, you're turning down those frequencies. So it's going to reflect that. And over here you got your frequency sweep. Okay, so that's the basics of the EQ, the gain, all that. We'll do dynamics and bus sends and all that fun stuff in a later video. All right, if you have any questions, let me know.